The Top Day Trade originals are here for Top Day Trade. Alan Nachman, the Chief Market Strategist at BullseyeOption.com, and Jared Levy, the Chief Market Strategist at Peak American Financial. Round number one, fall fun. The stock market could be in for a wild ride with the upcoming election. What opportunity do you see for the autumn? Colin.
Alan, by the way, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm always very grateful. One thing I got to mention is this.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It's always easy to make blanket statements of we're going to have volatility. And I think that that's obviously true, right? Historically, if you look at an election year, specifically in the fall, actually what ends up happening is markets kind of get quiet and then they tend to explode afterwards. And in fact, I went and did some homework. Love my homework. If you look at October's, going back to 1950, the average return was 0.75% up. In November, over the last 74 years, the average return was 1.63%. And actually, we've seen good things happen after elections. Now, do they get volatile? Sure, they do. What I do think you need to understand is you've got to be positioned in, if one party is looking stronger than the other, you probably want to favor yourself into an ETF or into a sector that's obviously going to support their policies and rally with their policies. That's the way I would play it.
Or more importantly, you can buy insurance. You can buy insurance against volatility. There are so many ways to protect yourself. We saw that volatility spike here in August, and part of that was because most people are on vacation, and that's when the markets have their shakeouts, and we had a crowded market, and we needed some profit taking, and that's what happened. But you saw volatility drop 75% from that spike high. So we're back down to a more modest level. But yeah, there is volatility, but we want the markets to move. It's our job to intelligently sort it out. I don't want the markets to just flatline. I want there to be movement, and it's all about controlling risk. Volatility is not supposed to be scary. It's an opportunity.
Round two, gas up. Crude oil prices are stuck sideways, but gasoline futures look ready to go. What would be in your trading tank?
Well, it's all about risk reward, and that's what trading's all about. I think we talked about natural gas a couple of weeks ago. This has been an everything bull market. One market that hasn't produced is crude oil, but the PE and the value is there for so many of these energy stocks, being the price to earnings ratio down at 8 compared to the rest of the market at 20. So it's a matter of when, not if. And we've seen crude oil disappoint. Every time it looked like it should go, it doesn't. But that's very much the same thing gold did 2 years ago, if you remember, that gold had been set up and had every reason to rise, and it didn't. There was a delay factor. But I think you want to look at gasoline. Gasoline itself, the futures contract been trading between 2 and 3. It's bottoming it out here at the 2 level. I think there's some serious value from risk reward in the gasoline.
Yeah, and on that, there's some data that backs that up. Number one is we've been pumping records amount of crude. There's talk obviously about OPEC Plus adding in supply, and what we're seeing is actually refiners throttling back for maintenance and for reasons. So that's going to drive that RBOB price up, which is what we want. On the crude side, because of, I don't want to call it lackluster demand, but kind of slowing demand, and hopefully we'll have some resolution to at least one of the wars going on in the world. That again is supportive of.
It's your electric car, Jared. It's your electric car that did it.
It is my electric car. I pedal to work a little.
Round three, AI unhype. What stock would you pick for the end of the AI trade?
I guess I get to go first here, Alan. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I think the end of the AI trade isn't the end of the AI trade. It's a rethinking of the ecosystem. Were you giving me the ecosystem there?
No, I'm giving you the rotation of funds.
That's right. So I think that what we need to look at right now, I love the cybersecurity space. I think that, again, obviously there are some stocks that have unfortunately been hit and you might need to stay away from, but I love the cybersecurity space. And as a general rule, I think you should start to look towards mid caps, not these big mega cap companies, but IVOO, the mid cap sector. And that's a great ETF to trade it. I know it's boring. And Alan's like, an ETF, come on, give us something sexy. But, for playing it through the election, I like IVOO here, and I think you can own it. It'll dampen some of the volatility, and I think there's a lot of value in that space.
Well, call it a comeback. We've seen the NASDAQ come all the way fully back from that profit-taking pullback that I'm going to keep calling it. And if you look at a breakout in the NASDAQ, new highs targets 24,000, which is 20% up above on a full V recovery. This happened every time in market history. Now, obviously, the tech companies, the Mag 7s, are all AI companies. So when you're trading the NASDAQ, you're trading essentially AI. AI is not over. They'll just continually morph and make money. They were in the cloud first. Now they're in AI. They're going to continue to just invest in whatever the newest, greatest innovations are. So you can't ignore the NASDAQ, and without having an individual stock risk, that's probably the route to go to just keep in that sector.
Since you're both talking about the election, we have a bonus round question for you. The Democrats just wrapped up their convention, but there's a wise attorney who buys a bunch of domains. He bought the HairsWaltz.com domain back in 2020 for $10. How much did he sell it for?
What are the chances?
No, that's false. I say false.
I agree. Because it just didn't make sense. I mean,
no.
Guys, it's not a true or false. It happened. He sold the domain for $15,000. No winners this week on this show, but the domain guy's a winner. Business First AM will be right back.
He's a sage.
Nobody knew about Dad Flag back then. It wasn't even a thing.